The idea of governance is important. The governance provides direction, but that direction has to turn into real action. So let's take a look at some of the tools and techniques that support governance. This includes a number of different frameworks we can use to take the concepts of governance and turn them into practical, workable solutions for our organization. First of all, what is a framework? A framework is a structure, often giving us perimeters, giving us boundaries and scope, and it's often layered in that it's not just one level, such as a management level, but a framework quite often is made up of a number of different layers of policies and procedures and all types of different areas of focus that define the elements of a system or a process and also control or mandate the interaction between those various elements. The objective of a framework for us in the area of information security governance is that it provides the skeleton. It provides the boundaries, the structure. In that way, helps us to define what makes an effective information assurance program. By providing a skeleton, like for example, a tall building, we put in the pillars, the floors, but then we can finish those out in the way we like. But it gives us the rigid structure that is able to be the foundation for the further tailoring of the program. This course is based on information security governance, but there are many other frameworks that are in use. For example, we often see this in software coding. Frameworks that say the structures and how we would do good coding and secure coding even. For example, Java has some very good frameworks. And in the world, of course, of a technical framework, there's nothing with the quality of OWASP and what it does for us in helping us to ensure that we write good applications, especially for a web application type world. Though OWASP, as we'll look at later in this course, does look at some other areas such as mobile as well. Why should we use a framework? There are a number of very good benefits. A framework allows us to tailor, allows us to customize. It provides the basic parameters, but allows then the ability to apply that to our unique world. The idea being that a framework should be somewhat flexible. If it's rigid to the point we cannot turn around and do things the way our business needs to do them, then it's not the right framework for us, because we all operate in a slightly different operational context, a different world, whether or not it's competitive or whether it's, for example, heavily regulated. And we have to find a framework which is flexible enough to work in our business environment. But the advantage of a framework that while it is customizable and flexible, is also it's consistent. This means that we have a process we can use repeatedly. We don't have to reinvent the way that we'll implement the concepts of governance differently in each department, or differently on every system. A framework allows us to leverage the knowledge and experience we already have, and in this way provide a consistent structure so that things can be comparable, interoperable, and in this way able to make it much easier to maintain and to be able to develop. We take, for example, one of the things that's really good in the world of house and building construction. We have many of the materials that are a set size, so that when we build a room, we know that the drywall and the windows and doors, all of these are fixed sizes so that we don't have to customize everything for each building we work on or each room. The idea of being modular is also important. I can take a framework and I can replace a piece of it without having to redo the entire structure. For example, if we looked at something like the OSI framework, the OSI framework is a very good example of something that operates at different layers, the network layer, the transport layer, and the idea being that being modular like that, I could make a change at the network layer but I don't have to redefine the operations of all the other layers above and below it. So modular allows it much easier to replace, update, and we can say in some cases even enhance the functionality of one piece of the framework without having to redo everything else. It provides the baseline. It provides that initial structure we can use then to say, are we meeting the requirements? Quite often based on a baseline or a minimum set of configurations. The idea of a benchmark is something we can compare against. Have we met? Have we done all of the things we should have done? Is there something we missed? So we can see that a good framework is something that very much is able to be used for our organization. It's able to take the concepts and principles, but allow us to be able to mold that into something that will work well to enhance our information security governance and strategies. What are some of the examples of mandated governance-related frameworks? Ones we have to do by law. For example, we have in many areas privacy laws, and privacy law is probably the most well-known right now is GDPR, based in Europe. A privacy law is a regulation. It is something that all European organizations must follow, and any company that operates in Europe must follow. And this is something that has strict financial penalties if a company does not follow that regulation. We then have within several industries regulations as well, such as, for example, in North America, if you're in the electricity generation and distribution, you are then bound by a set of regulations known as NERC, the North American Electric Reliability, and the NERC organization sets out the standards so we can make sure that because we have many different companies involved in generation and distribution of electrical power, we want to make sure that they are all following the same set of standards, that they're interoperable, they have a certain required level of performance and assurance, that they are following good practices. Because we realize, especially with an interconnected electrical power grid, that if one company had a problem, that can very much affect many other organizations as well. We also have, as an example, in the health insurance area, the regulations of HIPAA. Now, this specifically deals in the United States with health insurance companies, but many other countries have regulations as well. But these are ones that are well known. When it comes to financial reporting, two of the best known are SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley, and Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. And these are ones that deal specifically with the integrity of financial reports and the openness about how we deal with the financial data we have with our customers.